Hello! Oh, City of Horror. Yeah, sure, why not? Am I gonna meet... Wait, this is like that one game where Jeff the Killer owned a city. And, that's why it's called the City of Horror, right? Yeah, it is good that Jeff the Killer was called, like, Jeffrey Woods, and not named after some other biome, like Jeffrey Desert or Jeffrey Island. Anyways, in the last episode, I kind of ended a topic halfway, because I was busy, and I want to continue. Basically, so, you've probably heard of this little-known game called Pokemon, and you've also probably heard of Power World. And I find it kind of interesting that for so many, like, people who don't care about creature collecting RPGs, these games appear to be in competition with each other. And I often see shit like, Pokemon could learn a few things from Power World. Power World is a clone of Ark Survival Evolved, with creature designs that just, on an Ark level, look like fake mods. I have gotten a bunch of my friends who don't care about either, or who played Pokemon as kids, and I just showed them a bunch of Pokemon that I set with from the Switch era. And I asked them, who evolves into who, or are they a split evolution like Gardevoir and Galado? Like, I give them the explanation, and then I show them the Pokemon, and so then they give me their guesses. They ask me, oh, one of them was even like, oh, what regional form is this? Half the Pokemon that I showed were just the ones from Power World that I thought looked close enough. Because, shockingly, while there were other games, like Digimon, which, okay, to be fair, the meme about Digimon is that you have a lion that turns into a refrigerator carrying a minigun. But here's the thing, right? There are so many other, both indie and, like, mainstream, let's call them mainstream, right? Like, not quite AAA budget, but still, like, larger, creature collecting games that are never called Pokemon clones, right? Games that are just creature collecting RPGs. Like, you know, Monster Hunter Stories. You have fucking Digimon Time Stranger. You have Dragon Quest Monsters. From indie ones, I'm sorry, my knowledge here is really bad, but I know there's Cassette Beasts. And, I don't know if I would call Shin Megami Tensei, like, a creature collecting RPG, but, you know, at that point, yeah, honestly, yeah. And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, has anyone ever called any of these games Okay, well, granted, I don't think you can call Shin Megami Tensei a Pokemon clone unless you're, like, stupid. Because how do you copy a game that came out before you? You know, how do you make it, how do you copy a game that came out after yours, you know? But, my point is specifically, like, in regards to that, like, Power World is the only one of these games that is actively called either competition to Pokemon or a Pokemon clone. When it's not either of those. It's competition to Ark Survival Evolved. That's a very low bar to beat, Power World, and maybe it beat it, I don't know. I got Ark on Epic Games. I think I downloaded it once. I may have immediately uninstalled it. I may have ran it for a few minutes and then installed it. I don't remember. All I know is I did not play that much of Ark Survival Evolved. I think these are those kinds of games which for most people are the, you watch someone play them, but you don't actually play them. I do think that taming dinosaurs is an interesting gimmick, because dinosaurs are fucking metal, but, Power World is a little bit too close to Pokemon in some, like, shallow respects. But honestly, I think from what I've seen, the biggest issue is the Pokemon influence. You could have some fucking metal-looking creatures that fit the game's theme a lot more. But no, Palworld sold itself on having, like, really cheerful, cartoonish-ish creatures. Cartoonish-ish creatures, you know? And then it... Oh yeah, but you could enslave the cartoon creatures. And that's now what it's stuck with. Yeah, that's what it's kind of stuck with. If you like Ark Survival Evolved, and you wanna collect cute-looking creatures and make them work for you, yeah, you have Ark. Sorry, yeah, you have Palworld, but if you have... You know, if you're actually playing Pokemon for any of the Pokemon things, like the plot, granted isn't that deep, but I mean more specifically, like, you know, the progression from gym to gym, like the simple but entertaining stories, the actual, like, turn-based combat, or just the Pokemon combat in general, that's not something you get in Palworld. And then it's like, have you seen the fucking type chart in Palworld? It's a disaster. Like, one of the huge reasons why Pokemon has stayed so interesting on a competitive sense is just how there are a bunch of types, and they all serve a purpose, either in the gameplay sense, or in a, like, you know, competitive sense. Because Pokemon is, weirdly enough, balanced for both. This is because the official competitive format is doubles, and normal Pokemon is singles. Now, I've always been a fan of separating these two stats, because, like, just having Pokemon with separate stats for single-player and competitive multiplayer, because I feel like some of the, especially, like, the legendaries, just don't feel as powerful. I mean, they are a moderate power boost, but, like, I don't really feel like I'm piloting a god when I'm using most of them. Even when it's something like Arceus, you know? Because it can't be super unbalanced. And that's kind of the issue, right? Where even still, in so many, like, in most competitive formats, even when, like, you know, even when we have, like, you know, the competitive format, most of the time the legendaries aren't even available. You can't use them. Like, yeah, because of all the regulations. And I think the regulations are good because, like, having... Specifically, what I find most interesting was, I think it was Regulation H back in Scarlet and Violet, where you had basically, like, I think like there was some kind of interesting strict limitations, which meant that you could basically use a bunch of Pokemon, but it kind of leveled the power imbalance to a point where we would see strategies that you otherwise wouldn't really see, and it was remarkably balanced. Sadly, though, all that I've said here, Palworld has nothing like that, and therefore a huge chunk of the Pokemon audience just won't be interested, obviously. But it's even just the basic type chart sucks. It's very obviously ripped from Pokemon, and I can say that for 3 reasons. First of all, in the, like, little type circle, let's call it, right? Obviously, you know, you have water is effective against fire. Fire is effective against grass. But then, grass is effective against ground, ground is effective against electric, and electric is effective against... That's like, That's like, one specific thing, right? The issue here, and some people have noticed it, is grass and ground. Why, like, you know, that's such a specific, you know, what is a grass-type Pokemon? So many grass types are just plant types at the end of the day, you know? Like Tropius, Meowscarada. Fucking, what here is grass type? Is Meowscarada a stoner? Like, you know what I mean. And it just makes it obvious they were just trying to clone that. And what's even funnier is that then it's like, okay, well, finally something new. Fire is super effective against ice. Oh, and also, ice is super effective against the dragon type. And it's not a normal type. I think there's some other kind of type, so it's not called normal. But I just find it really funny because, like, I'm sorry, I understand the concept of an ice type. Even if ice is just water, at least there's no rock type as well. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's so obviously. Why not have a metal type? Why not have like a different concept of what a type is, like how it is in Digimon? Why not specifically name them after different kinds of materials? You could have a like stone type or a rock type, doesn't really matter. You could have a metal type. You could have an energy. You could have like an energy type and an electric type to signify, like, you know, just the kind of energy, like energy in a more sort of like looser sci-fi sense, and electric in the sort of, you know, type we would see. You could have like a pseudo. You could call them like fucking pseudo-natural types, you know? You could have so many different things you could do, and they don't. And I find that kind of disappointing. But again, not that big of a deal, because it's not a 10-based RPG where the types actually matter much. It's an ARC club. And you use guns to shoot things, so it doesn't matter that much. It matters a lot more in a game like Pokemon, where you basically your only form of attack, excluding specific cutscenes, like excluding specific battles in Pokemon Legends Arceus, is, you know, using your Pokemon to fight. Because you're a 10-year-old. Okay, sorry, a 15-year-old, I think, and a few of them now. But that's, you know, oh, fuck's sake. They are... They should have equipped a shotgun instead, I believe. But yeah, that's the issue with Palworld, I believe. It just doesn't try enough. And if it did try enough, I feel like people would have had a better sort of, you know, at least Pokemon fans, if it felt like it tried to have some familiar elements in a different kind of game and it didn't feel like it was aping Pokemon style. Because I know it's likely that people have to defend the game because people are saying that it's a Pokemon clone, but like, people are only, you know, all of these other games aren't really being defended that they're not Pokemon clones, because everybody knows that, you know, there are other creature collectors. Maybe there's an issue with Palworld's image. And part of that isn't even Pocket Pair's fault. You could blame, like, YouTubers, like, internet people, etc., for saying, hey guys, this is better than Pokemon. This is if Pokemon was made by people who care. And because of, like, the hand that Palworld has been dealt, that is now the crowd that supports it. In another world, where, well, in a situation where the people who hate Pokemon said, this looks too much like Pokemon for it to be good, I'm pretty sure that a lot of, like, Pokemon fans specifically would be a lot more open to it. Until they played it and realized it was Arc Survival Evolved. But, you know, on a conceptual level, you know? People would have been like, yeah, whatever. But especially when so much of the Palworld discussion is that it's this game that's always gonna be the second banana to Pokemon, where so much of Palworld discussion is only ever seen in the context of, like, Pokemon, where, okay, the one exception is, you know, whenever the 1.0 update came out. But there are so many YouTubers who talked about Palworld so excitedly, and how it's finally the competitor to Pokemon, They haven't made a video about the 1.0 announcement. They haven't made a video about any of that. No, because for a lot of these people, and you know who I'm talking about when I say one of, you know, I can't do the voice. I'm sorry. If I could match his intonation, I would do it in every video as a bit. I just find it funny. But you get what I mean, right? Like, the people who allegedly loved Powerload stopped giving a shit. And, like, the only time most people, like, most of these YouTubers bring up Powerload, of course, like, the non-Powerload dedicated creators, obviously, is only when some new Pokemon thing is out, so they can talk about how much better Powerload is. And I feel like this is a big issue of the game's image, specifically because if you're only ever brought up as, like, you know, the alternative, then that's all you'll ever be. Will people care? Like, I feel like it's, an interesting way to get, like, the haters on board, or people who don't own a Switch, and don't know you can buy Monster Hunter Stories, or any of the other Creature Collection clones. But, like, you know, you gotta think, what's gonna happen in the future? Like, when so much of, at least your apparent fan base, seems to be only interested in your games in the, you know, hey, this is better than the other game sense, I feel like that won't end that well. Wait, what is this beautiful car? What are the polygons of this shit made of? Hold on, let me see. Ooh, this was, honestly, this was modeled decently well. Yeah. But that's kind of the issue, I think. Where, like, so much of the internet discussion right now, and it's not just with Pokemon, it's with everything, so much of it is just, like, gotchas from people who otherwise wouldn't care, but they're doing it for views, you know? Or people who may genuinely just, you know, want to do it because they're whatever. Like, okay, like, you know, you've seen how people were shitting on fucking Sony for wanting to stop making discs. Oh, finally, the AF-16.
Select a mission.
And then,
choose loadout.
like,
Rangers
immediately, oh, look at this, look at
weapons.
this. We go from 17 to 23 damage. Finally.
Select
Like,
a mission.
we went from
Select a deploying.
people saying, yeah, I'm not buying Sony in protest, to people buying Sony again, because, oh, well, they're selling Black Ops 1 and 2 again to us. We have to...
We are the only ones who can keep fighting. All units.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, dude. I know I just said that I'm not supporting the company anymore, but look, it's Black Ops 1 and 2. The games you could have bought on PC for how many years? Okay, well, don't play the multiplayer on PC without, like, special modifications, otherwise you'll get fucking hacked. But you know what I mean. It's like, it's just pathetic. And this is, like, I feel the issue with all internet, like, gaming discourse, is that for a lot of, like, it's that every single time, for basically every single discussion, it's drifters and people who don't actually care using, like, just using anything as an opportunity to, like, collectively spread hate against, like, some games. And that's kind of it, you know? That's why they hate Pokemon. It's not because there's something wrong with Pokemon. They don't actually give a shit. Legends EA was good. Like, the issue is, people kept bullshitting about it. People kept, you know, saying, oh, but the buildings are flat.
It's no use.
And they just kept repeating that endlessly and endlessly, and yeah, that's it. Oh, will Pokemon recover? Recover from what? From the Switch 1? Yeah. Have you seen the trailer for Winds and Waves? And, like, that's the issue. Like, you aren't ever gonna have, like, you're never gonna get to convince these people, quote unquote, if they're even real and not just, you know, ChatGPT or whatever. But like, you know, even if we go with the presumption that these are real human beings and not an AI, like, you've gotta like think, why should you even care to argue with somebody who clearly doesn't give a shit? Because nowhere once in any of the arguments that anybody who actually hates, quote-unquote, Pokemon, or hates, quote-unquote, like, whatever the fuck, they're never gonna get a coherent argument. It's always gonna be bullshit. And the one time that somebody will make a coherent criticism of a game they don't like, they're gonna get branded as the same. Because to an outside observer, like, they don't care. If somebody makes a 2-hour... Like, that's kind of the issue I feel with, like, what I'm gonna call the, like, essay swap. Where people will... Oh, damn it, I can't reach that. People will make, like, video essays that are extremely long and bloated for the sake of ad revenue. And so sometimes you don't know if, like, a 2-hour video is actually worth to watch or not.
We found her on the ocean and managed to land.
Come on.
Ready for takeoff. We'll soon be on our way to support.
And obviously, like, the issue with everything that I've just said is the fact that, like, you know, truth starts mattering less and less.
We're bringing the Hydra to support.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just...
But we will continue our mission.
Because what can you do? When so much of, like, modern-day gaming discourse is, like, dog shit, it's like, oh yeah, people aren't like, the issue is, right? It's not like gaming discourse was once upon a time good, it was always dog shit. But the issue is, the reason why it's so much worse now is that instead of people saying incorrect and stupid stuff for the love of the game, now it's being done for money. And that's kind of the issue, you know? The monetary incentive structure that the internet now works on has ruined everything. Because now, it's no longer about what opinion is, you know... Obviously, there are always going to be YouTubers or streamers or whatever who will try to adopt the... Like, you know, who'll try to have their own thing and build a brand out of them being themselves, but, like... Do you know how many fucking people gauge, like, how many people who do video essays on YouTube will just try to gauge the most popular opinion on something before they, you know, give their opinions on it? And a lot of people don't realize this. There's a huge difference between somebody who doesn't do this, like Scott the Wall, surprisingly enough, and, like, the YouTubers who do. Because, frankly, I think it's... I shouldn't use that word. That's often used in there. Okay, whatever. But, like, you know, it's, you'll see it. I've seen situations where, like, some YouTuber who had, like, a chud audience was, like, live streaming themselves playing a game, and they were having fun, and then their chat, slowly through the stream, was convincing them that the game they were enjoying was bad. And then they were like, oh yeah, the game sucked, even if they had nothing but compliments for the entire time they played it. Why? Because they have to appeal to their audience, and what they actually think doesn't matter. Their audience demands they hate it. So they will. And that is going to end up, you know, being a... Well, it's one of those, you know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes sort of deals. However... the issue is, you know, whenever you're trying to drift to, like, a gaming audience, you'll either eventually end up doing, like, internet politics, and, like, not internet politics with a capital P, but, like, with a non-capitalized one. So, like, you'll talk about how they used Elliot Page as an actor in the Odyssey, and not about, like, the fact the US government is using university grant money to bail out
Soldiers,
AI
incoming
companies.
artillery. Fall back.
Artillery unit ready.
Okay.
Firing howitzer.
Please tell me this actually hits.
The bombardment from the sky will begin.
And that's sort of the thing, right?
Commencing attack now. Ground units, fall back.
Okay. Kill you attack.
120 millimeter.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh my god, okay. Shit, I'm not gonna have any time to collect any of the destroyed things. But that was cool. Oh, we got the RA!
Choose loadout.
You know,
Rangers can equip 2 weapons.
12 damage, but 30 per second.
Choose loadout. Rangers can equip 2 weapons.
Wait,
Choose a clap. Choose loadout. Rangers can
accuracy
equip 2 weapons.
C. Okay, we'll see how bad it
Select a
is
mission.
in breaking through.
Deploying.
And I know I'm talking about it like I'm an expert on this, because I've seen it happen so many times, but like, genuinely, it's what happens, and it's always pathetic to see. And yeah, it genuinely is pathetic.
You're not shaking. This is Ranger. I have arrived on the
What
scene.
is the
Beginning
fucking
operation.
array? Just an AK. Oh yeah, this accuracy is dog shit. Hey, it's basically a shotgun now. Do I just reload the mission?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The sound effects are kind of cut off. Okay. Die.
Let me go. You think you caught me? Think you can trap me in this web?
Hello. Am I stuck on the web button?
I'll hit you first.
Okay. But yeah. And it's one of those things where I mentioned this before, like, normally I wouldn't really be invested in this kind of stuff, but like, the only reason, it's one of those things, right, where I talk about this stuff specifically because it, you know, affects me. If it didn't affect me, I would probably not talk about it as much in here. I would obviously still care about some of this stuff, but like, if it wasn't as big of a problem as something that I feel like is something I can directly talk about, I will mention it, because, like, the thing is, right, if it was just about, like, what I mentioned earlier, right, where, you know, if the discussion was entirely around AI company bailouts, right, I don't have a reason to, like, discuss that, because anything that I could make, like, any point that I could make would just be, like, a much simpler and probably definitely worse version of an argument that it would make by, like, somebody like Legally, right? Or some other guy who covers stuff, whatever, you know? I would basically just be a worse version of that, so why would I want to do that? But I feel like, specifically since I myself don't really dabble vocally in this sort of stuff, I specifically think because of that, it's more important than ever to try to specifically spread awareness about the grifting side of things, both in the political sense of like grifting and how it, you know, pertains to the gaming side of things, because that's my side of things, that's my world, and also just in general, like, grifting, because even if grifting was completely apolitical, it wouldn't have as many negative ramifications for a while, like, you know, when it should. But it could still suck ass, and I think that's a reason enough to criticize it. And that's sort of why I'll talk about the things I talk about. And it's just one of those things where, like, you know, sometimes you just believe in things. You want to talk about it. If I didn't believe in things, I wouldn't be talking about it, because that's the kind of person I am. Because there are a lot of things I feel which you know, obviously matter to me that I don't really think are worth discussing as sort of like personal near YouTube. You know, things that I feel like anyone else could probably do a decent enough job at explaining. Like, I don't have to tell you that, like, climate change is bad and things are going to get worse because AI data centers are pumping, you know, even more CO2 into the fucking trash. Even if it's... Some of them are doing it indirectly by pulling a lot more power. Some of them are just doing it directly by having their own little inefficient gas power plants right next to them. Great. But that's the thing, right? What I've said now could be explained by any even vaguely critical of AI YouTube creator or just internet person in general. And I just feel like for that reason, that kind of stuff, I don't have to talk about. Because I am gonna change anything, but like, I feel like even if I... Oh, the fucking excellent back, that's good. Even if I persuade one person from, like, not listening to, you know, the shitty gaming grift side of the internet, and where they actually, like, listen to people who stand by their gaming opinions and don't, like, actually... Even if the gaming opinions are stupid, like, at the very least, find someone who actually stands behind what they say, and not somebody who just says shit for views. Because I feel like, at the very least, you know, when somebody is genuinely fucking insane, you know, at least at that point, you kind of respect the hustle. I saw a video of a guy who was comparing 3D Blast and Mario RPG, which, how do you compare a Squaresoft-made RPG to 3D fucking Blast? Badly. At the end of the day, he said Sonic won because Mario is an RPG and RPGs are overrated, and Sonic 3D Blast is underrated, and therefore that means it's better because it's underrated. I don't think he... You know what's underrated? Colorado. Not enough people to sing its praises. Look. That video was fucking awful. And considering, like, a few things about the guy who made it, like, you know, believing in magic, I'm not going to, I'm not, obviously, I would never make, like, a video response to something that's clearly, you know? I would clearly snicker at it from a distance and move away, and keep it as one of those, hey, could you believe the kind of video I saw on the internet? Kind of, you know, discussions, I would keep it to that. But, like, you know, that's sort of the thing. I mentioned it in that context because I find it funny. But you can imagine if I was like a Nintendo grifter, I could make like a video. Like, I could be one of those, like, I could get like one of those ransonas where, like, one of those ransonas, but instead of talking about, like, why unspeakably bad things are good, I could make a video talking about, like, oh, can you believe how wrong this guy is, and keep cutting him off, and, like, ad hominem, you're wrong, fact, no, I don't care. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, like, that's what a grifter would do, because that's, like, agenda posting or whatever, you know? But I have considered making a video making fun of Sonic Frontiers, but then I realized I would have to buy Sonic Frontiers and Even if I didn't buy it, even if I fucking got, even if I got fucking Game Shade, like, maybe I know someone who has it on PS4. I know my ex has it on PS5. I don't know if that works on the PS4, whatever. Like, even if I could get it from someone so I don't have to actually fucking buy it or through other means, I don't want to fucking play that shit! And that's why I'm never gonna make anything on that. See you next time, goodbye.